Hey fam, it's your girl, your tragedy, the lockdown cryptid extraordinaire, back from the dead to all plague you with what's in my head this time. It's me. Surprise, surprise. And honestly, with the amount of times I've returned to, then broken up with, only to come back to YouTube, you'd think I was a toxic ex. Maybe it's YouTube that's a toxic ex, who even knows? But hey, we've reached that point in lockdown, so here we are, for goodness knows what for this time. So on today's bitching, I was just wondering if anyone else has experienced this weird phenomenon that I've been noticing recently. Because hey, I made disturbing art, and I was looking at stuff to talk about here today, and in between the overwhelming novelties of pop culture obsessions over Squid Games, trash, violent, depressing, why would I watch, and whatever social experiment practices are cooking up this time, not to mention the latest Hollywood celebrity news that's been snitched on by whatever paparazzi's dodging multiple restraining orders this time, that leaves us with only limited topics to talk about. So, childhood trauma it is. And I was wondering, since like a lot of us have grown up a wee bit on the internet now, whether I could touch base with a few other females out there who may have started out like quite young online and are now well and truly into adulthood. Also, fun fact, turns out the main cause behind most teenagers' internet addictions these days is a continuous lack of mental stimulation. Like, I don't blame them honestly, but in a continually depressing world with little freedom, even less affordability and accessibility over things, compared to an online world that enables us to connect with, people just like us, people we actually like, and learn about and express ourselves however which way we want, why wouldn't we get addicted? Regardless though, I've been looking at the way the world interacts with us, specifically online, and connects with us and in person, and has anyone actually noticed the difference between the way we're treated as, say, a young girl versus a well-rooted and very firmly established adult? Because I have, and I was just wondering whether it's like an isolated thing or more of a universal experience. Now, browsing through YouTube, I know every other female YouTuber out there has gone and done some story time, if not multiple story times, on how ex-guy on the internet groomed them, or how ex-predator tried this, that, or the other on them. But looking back, I feel like even though we, or should I say I personally, was not actively human trafficked and illegally abused every day of their life, I do definitely feel like there is a certain tone, shall we say. It is not talked about, but it kind of affects the attitudes and cultures online. Now, gentle disclaimer here, I'd like to establish that this is no one's fault, and there is nothing you can do as a parent if you have concerns. I personally was raised and pretty much gate-kept inside but if there is a culture, let's say, it's going to be out there, regardless of what you do or how you act as a person. Now, this culture, I don't know what to call it, but I've definitely noticed it changes as I've gotten older, and it's real friggin' weird. It starts off when you're like a kid online, or like when you're very obviously presenting as a young person and like little and cute, and like the culture's gonna treat you like you're the most wonderful thing in the world. It's gonna act like you can do no wrong, and while that's great at making people feel welcome, it very quickly starts to feed into and encourage certain attention-seeking behaviours. Now, I don't know how to put like an official label on this, but it's not just the attention-seeking behaviours it's feeding into, It's like, it's a specific type, a specific breed of attention-seeking behaviours. Because like, you see it in like some of the TikTok dances, or like back in the early 2000s, the whole Nico Japanese cat girl movement. And it's in how some of the main female protagonists get portrayed in like some, not all, some animes. And not to name drop, but I feel like Belle Delphine and Eugenia Cooney, I really feel like they play into it. Or perhaps they're molded by it, like I genuinely can't tell. And it's insidious, Like that's the scary part. Like, not to say like Belle Delphine and Eugenia Cooney are like bad, horrible people. Like, you can have your own opinions on them, but like, I feel in regards to this culture, while you can consciously notice certain things and be like, oh, that's not okay, and to stay away from them, but like, there is definitely like a very sneaky side to this culture. It's like pervasive, and you don't really realize like how subtle and how everywhere certain aspects of art, like you don't notice it sneaking up on you until like you hit your mid-20s and you wonder why people like don't really treat you the same anymore. And like again, perhaps it's just me, perhaps it's not actually as big of a thing as I'm making out, or like perhaps it's even as simple as me carrying PTSD from like some of my most recent assaults and like really trying to change the way I'm perceived and treated. But like I've really noticed the difference in attitudes, eh? Like, I find it really interesting how when you're younger online, you can just bounce around all over the place and like just do whatever you like, you're all happy and you're just seen as like, oh, she's butterflies and rainbows, la-di-da, she's just that. Whereas now I noticed I'm getting attacked a lot more for the opinions I hold and the things that I say, but I also feel like I'm being taken a bit more seriously. I feel like I'm being heard. Or perhaps not. Maybe it's just feeling like I get looked at a bit weird for maybe things that wouldn't have even batted an eye previously. Like, does this resonate with anyone? Has anyone else really noticed the way people's interactions with them change as they grow up? Or like maybe if they don't play up a certain way, or fit some pre-decided invisible mold that no one ever really acknowledges or tells you that they've decided to class you as. I wish I could English properly. Like, I wish I could better describe what this thing is instead of articulating only some vague idea, which might not even be an actual thing. Like, I need you to let me know in the comments what your thoughts are though. But anyway, here's some art. I was originally going to draw marigolds in this cryptid's hand because I feel like they represent pain and grief, but then there were like some thoughts in my head which like really strongly felt like I needed to draw lilies, which when I looked them up on Google, turns out they represent devotion and purity, which I feel really adds to the layers of what this art represents and communicates. I'm going to call it lips, tits and hips. YouTube better not take me down for this.